Captain, enemy ships decloaking off our port bow.
They're charging weapons!
Shields up! Red alert!
They're firing!
Containment failure detected. Warp core breach imminent.
Welcome to the Warp Core Breach review of Wave 23. We're going to save you the trouble and just eject the core right now.
Warning. Warp core breach detected.
That hesitation, folks, wasn't performance anxiety or anything. It was him trying to swallow his emotions so that he could be a little more professional on that side of things. Because, yes, this is the Wave 23 you've all heard about. But we're going to do our best to give you its best foot forward, but we're not going to pull any punches either.
Nope. Our point here is to try to find some use for some of these cards because, well, they're pretty bad, and I believe that there is something that could come out in the future that might make some of these better, but as it stands right now, it's not looking good.
Could this be the first wave where most people just go, yeah, no thanks? Let's find out.
Yeah, let's find out. So, we're going to start it off with the Feds, because, well, they got the first preview. That's our rationale for order.
The USS Montgolfier.
Okay, let's not lie. It's the Da Vinci.
Yeah, that was the original intent, but they couldn't get the rights, so they gave us the Montgolfier. And this is from the HeroClix perspective, not the attack wing, because this is re-release of the Montgolfier, which was in HeroClix.
Yeah.
Star Trek Tactics.
So we get slash line is 3233. Pretty good. 1 crew, 2 weapons, 1 tech.
22 points.
Yeah, 22 points, standard Fed action bar. And then the named ability, if your ship has an opposing ship target locked during the activation phase, you may switch the target lock to a different ship within range 1 to 3 as a free action.
I actually like this ability. This is one that a lot of people are divided on as far as whether or not it's actually useful. And quite often, like in my written review, it's something that occasionally you'll throw a target lock on something either preemptively because you're hoping you'll use it, or you just didn't use it because you rolled well enough or something else came up. But if you're flying past and you don't have arc on them, somebody else is in your way, you might as well flip it over to them as a free action and get some dice quality.
Yeah, I would have liked this tons better under 2 conditions. 1, if this ship had a rear firing arc, and 2, if the timing of the ability went off at the start of the combat phase.
Well, just talk about your first point, I don't think it would be as valuable from my original point of view if it did have a rear arc, but it would be made more valuable from a torpedo or other secondary weapon issuing the other side.
Well, it's one of those things because, say, you take a target lock and now all of a sudden they're beside you, or you think they're going to be beside you, and then you say, I want to switch. It would be more helpful with that rear firing arc because it would help a torpedo ship. So.
Well, how about this? Nobody uses regular torpedoes. And it's not something, you're not going to be using chronotons on it or anything like that, so pretty good odds it won't be used much for torpedoes.
True, but if this ability is never going to see play anyways, I'd rather have it at least have the potential to be better than what it is right now. But at least it has those 2 natural weapon slots, so you can get Type 8 and upgraded on it to get 5 dice, and then this does have a nice ability to swap those target locks.
My main issue with this ship isn't so much the rear arc, which would be fantastic, it's the fact that it does not reflect the maneuverability of a ship of its type. Now, that come about should have been white, in all honesty.
Yes, and or 1 hard turns instead of 3 hard turns.
That would be a bit of a fluff versus reality debate there. I think come about would probably be a little bit wiser that as a white, that or give us a 2 come about white, 3 red.
Sure.
Because these things turning sideways, it's a little bit more awkward. Flips, like even out of an atmospheric point of view, it's just comes down to inertia, right?
Yeah, I can see that. Should note that the generic Saber class loses a tech slot, so you get 1 crew 2 weapon.
Yeah, anytime a ship loses a tech slot or a crew slot, we tend to cringe.
Yes, though 2 weapons on a 3 attack dice ship is still nice to have because of the Type 8 upgraded combo.
I was hoping you'd say that.
Yeah, but with 5 total durability...
Yeah, not so much.
I'm still hesitating.
You'd have to own a whole bunch of those hoods and Makotas to set up like a fleet of like 4 of these things or something like that.
I mean, jeez. For 25 points to get 5, 2, 3 2s flying around the board, that would be something kind of fun.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't know that it would be really worth it.
Granted. Yeah, that's often the debate when it comes to some of the weaker ships is, are they worth ever actually playing? Because sure, you can make them better. You can add on upgrades and cards to make them as strong, if not stronger, than some of the prime ships. But by the time you're done, you spent way more points than you would just taking a stock, say, Prometheus or Enterprise E or Scimitar or whatever faction you like.
Right.
So it really comes down to economy. Are you getting the best bang for your buck? Are your efforts worthwhile?
And that's always something you have to judge. And the Saber class is not the most impressive ship. It would be a lot better with that white come about, but
yeah,
what are you going to do?
Mm-hmm. Like, it's barely a step up from a shuttle as far as stats.
Yeah.
And it's actually weaker than the Prototype 01, which is a much smaller craft from 2 generations previous. Almost 3 generations previous if you just go by age. Romulan tech. So what does that tell you? And these ships were used against the board. Guess they had to pull everything they had.
Yeah. They really don't reflect how they were designed to go after the Borg.
Well, I think for the ship card, bottom line, it's a neat ability, but it would have been better off as an upgrade card than built into a ship.
Yeah. And we've seen some ship abilities come out as cards later, so that's one that may happen, and I would be glad to see it happen. It's just a matter of going, what are they going to make it cost?
Well, could make it a 2-point reactive discard. Given the nature of making something a free action, you can't have it as an a disable would probably be about 3 to 4 points. A discard would have to be 1 to 2. Otherwise, what's the point? Pardon the pun.
So what you're saying is it's going to be a 5-point discard.
With action.
And you're going to have to put time tokens on something else.
Right.
Yeah, that seems about right. Oh, and probably disable your captain.
Yeah, or at least a crew.
Yeah.
Disable all wharfs on the table.
Oh. Hey, that could be beneficial.
All friendly wharfs.
Oh, yeah, of course. It's only friendly.
Yeah.
All right.
Captain, speaking of Captain, oh Captain, my Captain.
Yeah.
Orful Quinteros. 5 Captain skill, 3 squadron points. Action. Roll 3 defense dice. Repair 1 damage to your hull for every evade result. Place 1 auxiliary power token beside your ship for each point of damage you repair with this action. Thoughts?
Should also note that he doesn't have an elite talent.
Granted.
Thoughts? I like him.
Isn't he like Kurla?
Yeah. I like him on a cloaked ship. A little bit.
Yeah, you notice how sometimes you get like cloakers, like Klingons and Romulans, but some of their abilities repair shields. But if they're cloaked, their shields are fine, so the ability's kind of useless.
Right.
So you kind of need them to repair hulls. Federation tend to focus more on the shield use, so that's where shields would be more beneficial. But it's Fed, so they got to cover the whole spread.
So I'm pretty sure that I understand the answer to this question, but it's still a question that's worth asking. If you only have 2 hull damage and you roll 3 evades, do you take 2 or 3 auxiliary power tokens?
You can only repair what you have, so in my mind, if you only have 2 to repair, you'd only take 2.
Yeah, somehow I feel like Worf might tell us to take 3.
Only if they're smoking something, and I'm hoping they're clean.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it does say for every point of damage you repair, not for every evade you roll.
Right. It should say you roll 3 defense dice. You can or you may repair 1 damage to your hull for each result.
Yeah.
I don't even know if they're using each and every accurately each time. Every time?
Probably not, but I think everybody intuitively knows what this means.
Yeah.
He just doesn't seem to have a place in Federation. If he was a Romulan captain or a Vulcan captain, I would really like what he brings to the table.
You'd be a little more thematic in that sense. He's basically another Barclay, but a captain, right?
Yeah, and Barclay makes you discard him if he ever rolls 3 evades.
Yeah,
which is fine.
You wouldn't want that on a captain.
No, not at all. But
yeah, I could say disable the captain if you get all 3 because he's working really hard.
Sure,
but yeah, but I'm not arguing for it.
and I guess the problem I have with this is you could conceivably spend an action to do nothing.
Yeah,
and I hate that.
Say like roll 2 defense dice, repair 1 damage plus 1 more for each evade result rolled.
Yeah, and I would have liked it maybe if they had said place 1 auxiliary power token for every hull damage you repair beyond the first.
Sure.
That would have been more thematic to me, because spending an action to repair is something we've seen with Glendaro, Smiley, and there's no Ox power there.
No.
I mean,
clean. So
Smiley's the perfect counterpoint. He's a 5-point captain, or a 5 skill captain, 3 points, action, repair 1, guaranteed every turn. This guy's gambling, but still, 3 evade dice, you're going to average like 1 1/8 evade results. So if you use it once, it'll probably come out the same. If you use it 8 times, that's where you're going to see a benefit.
Yeah.
And
the thing is, Miles O'Brien, the Smiley, he even comes with a talent.
Right, and so that's the difference. And he adds a tech slot.
And a tech slot. So it's 2 extra perks over this guy for the same price.
Yeah, and he's a constant.
So costing doesn't seem well. Yes.
Whereas this guy's gambling. So I think...
Direct comparison, 3 strikes against Orville, so he's going down.
Put him as a different faction captain, Vulcan, where you have that Ox power mitigation, Romulan or Klingon, where you actually need the hull repair.
Or Mirror for like the NX. The Mirror NX.
And or Regent's flagship, because that thing's got 7 hull.
Yeah, I was thinking more like where they benefit from the Ox tokens.
Sure. I totally with you there, too.
Might be okay on the tiny prize, but again, unless you're guaranteed at least 1 repair, it's too much to risk. And you can only use it once.
You can only use action bar actions while you're under Ox power on tiny prize.
That was my point. You can only use it once before you start accumulating Ox tokens.
And you'll probably have Ox power before you have hull damage.
Yeah. There are 2 ways to massively mitigate Ox power tokens. I was thinking of sitting on it, but I'll leak it out for you right now. There's the warp jump from the Hathaway, removes all your tokens except for like your critical tokens, which are just representative anyway. So if you got a stack of Ox tokens on your ship and you warp jump, they're gone. And same goes, I believe it was Inversion Wave with the Ferengi, does something similar, but you gain 1 Ox token afterward. You lose what was there before, and you only have 1 left to deal with. So a neat little trick for you if you got to get rid of Ox power tokens fast. You don't mind passing up 1 round of attacks.
Yeah, and warp jump's beneficial anyways.
Absolutely.
And it's not even an action, so... I feel like somebody will abuse warp jump at Canadian Nationals or regionals or something. Hint, Joseph. and then it will get warped, and then everyone will be sad.
Yeah, let's hope not. On both points. What's next?
Wesley Crusher.
Hey, Mr. Wheaton.
We went from 0 Wesleys to 2 Wesleys in the span of like 3 waves.
0 to hero?
Yeah, I wouldn't call either Wesley a true hero. Interesting cards, but neither's a true hero. So
true enough.
5-point crew, and he's got 2 different effects. I like the ores that exist here.
Yes, harkens back to CCG.
Yeah. So option 1. During the activation phase, after you move, if there is an Ox Power token beside your ship, you may disable this card to perform an action from your action bar. So he turns any ship into the tiny prize.
Once.
Yeah.
Because if Ox Power tokens are still there, you're not going to be able to enable them. So you get 1 extra round of actions.
Right.
From the action bar.
Which lets you take a white move after doing a red, which gives you a little less predictability, which can be good because your opponent doesn't quite know where you are.
That's right.
Would have been nicer to have this during Balance of Terror, but c'est la vie. Or option 2, during the activation phase, after you move, you may disable this card to perform an action listed on one of your tech upgrades as a free action. We went through this. There's a card in the booster brick that lets you use a tech action on another ship. There's not that many of them.
Yeah.
Now, this continues to get better the more tech come out, but it's just the tech that use actions aren't amazing. Think about the tech that people run. Like really like to run. Cloaked Minds, Interface Generator, even something like Bioneural Circuitry, which doesn't see a ton of play, but it's there.
Well, the way I see it is his best use is in mixed faction because there aren't a lot of good fed action tech upgrades that really scream for him. The one that comes to mind first and foremost would be Tetrion emissions.
Yeah, I can see that one. EM Pulse is that's a playable one.
Yeah, but unless you're doing like a crew enabling cycle, something like Waters or the Phlox Doctor kind of stuff, Crusher, unless you got that mechanic going, it's 5 points for a single use. And unless you need to do a bunch of actions in one turn for a shenanigans combo, it's really not worth the points. It really isn't. Like Borg, Federation is way too high costed for a number of abilities, and often for abilities that aren't often worth using in the first place.
Yeah.
This one's stuck in the middle. It could be useful, but not at 5 points. Maybe in the 2 or 3 range. 4 would be hard enough to choke down, but at 5 points, sorry.
I mean, I could see it if you wanted to do Projected Stasis Field for free.
Yeah, again, that's mixed.
Well, yeah.
And while I play mixed most of the time, I've been playing actually a fair bit of pure, but a good chunk of the community isn't that way, so these kinds of concepts are lost on many players.
Well, there's not any good fed tech that's action.
Exactly.
And don't try to tell me that ablative generator is, because
it's not even close to being as handy or useful as the Borg ablative hull.
Yeah.
Even the Prometheus one feels a little better, and it's not that great.
No.
There's not a lot of action tech to begin with, and those that do exist usually aren't big of a draw to begin with. The exception being maybe micro power relays that came with the Lakota.
Oh, yeah.
Again, not a lot of people have that.
Yeah. All right. Moving on. Photon torpedoes. Moving on.
Heavy graviton beam.
There we go.
Secondary weapon. 4 SP. Range 1 to 2. 3 attack. Attack. Discard this card to perform this attack. The defending ship rolls -1 defense die against this attack.
I like that.
Ooh, I do too. It's like pair that with a scan token or something. That's -2 dice.
Mm-hmm.
Very nice. You may only fire this weapon from your forward firing arc. Makes sense with this ship, given it only has that. If fired against a Borg ship, add +3 attack dice to this attack. The defending Borg ship cannot roll any defense dice against this attack. 2 points on that. I'm sure you're going to get to it as well, but 1, most Borg ships don't have defense dice unless they're assimilated or tiny. And 2, most people don't play Borg anymore.
Yeah. I'd just like to point out that Craig's build at Regionals would cry if somebody ran Heavy Graviton Beam.
Oh, agreed.
As would some of Joseph's builds. I mean, the Scout Cubes days, we keep saying they're numbered, and then nobody's running Decker to stop them. And I feel like Heavy Graviton Beam is another card that nobody will actually run because they don't care. But this is a card that if you don't face Borg, it's worthless.
Yeah.
If you face Borg, it's amazing.
If it was a couple points cheaper, throwing it on really tiny ships would actually be wicked. But then it probably wouldn't be a very balanced card.
Yeah. This
So
is one of those cards that's impossible to price. Because you can't elevate the price if your opponent brings Borg.
Exactly. Because you're not going to be playing the same player each round of an OP.
Right.
You can only do that in a casual setting. And even then, you've made your build. You're not going to tweak it after. Oh, your build's illegal just because you're facing Borg because you have too many points. Not going to happen.
No. So, yeah, I mean, this is a card that's a very interesting thing that I actually like injecting it into the meta and saying, well, are you going to take Heavy Graviton Beam because your area sees a lot of Scout Cubes? Maybe. And then if you do, then people stop playing Scout Cubes. So then you stop running Heavy Graviton Beams. So then they start running Scout Cubes again. So then you start bringing it again.
Right.
So then they stop bringing it. And it's this back and forth. And finding that balance actually becomes a very interesting dynamic. And
that's what the game should be.
that is what the game should be. And I feel like the game will become a bit of that after the blind cycle out with the upgrades that go after fighter squadrons. So while I don't love this card, I find it conditionally interesting, and I think that there's potential here that people should be on the lookout for, and don't sleep on this card.
Yeah. If this card came out a year and a half or so ago, when things were quite different, like even 2 years ago, I would love this card.
Yeah.
It would have been a game changer. But at the way things are right now, it's pretty, yeah. But who knows? It's possible with the big cube and with the sphere port coming out, that might not just be a cash grab. It might actually be a sign of things to come. Perhaps the waves that we have yet to see solicitations for might actually have some Borg in mind, and they might have ideas on how to rejuvenate the faction. It's wishful thinking, lofty even, but it's a strong possibility. Anything can happen.
Yeah, I think the one thing that I don't love about this card is when you're shooting at Borg, you have 6 dice, but you have no quality. Now, granted, you don't have to spend a target lock or battle station or anything else. So it's far easier to actually get quality with this. You just take your action.
Battle station target lock, yeah.
And you still have it. So I do like that it's a secondary weapon where you don't have to spend anything to make it happen.
Yeah, and like there's so many ways for Fed to get quality out of this, between your battle station, your target lock, your scan Spock, your scan Valkane, and other ways. There's so many options there that it's got a lot of potential if you're likely to be facing Borg. Big if.
Which, there are days.
Yep. So let's move along. What's next?
We have Subspace Transmitter. It's a 5-point tech. Action. Disable this card to target a friendly ship within range 1 to 3 of your ship. Place a scan token beside your ship and the target ship. You cannot perform a scan action as a free action this round. Okay. As a means of getting scan enhancement, it's cool.
Yeah, at a 5 cost, go ahead.
The nice thing is, while you can't perform a scan action, the ship that you place the scan token beside can, so they can get 2 scan tokens.
Right. Grammatically, you might think it means you, the player, but based on the way things are defined in the game, you, your ship, all means this ship.
Mm-hmm.
So that is definitely a strong point. Because this is placed token, so that circumvents the rule where the other ship would otherwise not be able to perform a scan action because it never actually did perform the action. It just received a token. So it's a great way to double up, and if you're using some other means to double up, like T'Pol or something, you can triple up on your scan benefits. It's an interesting combination.
Yeah, my problem is, if this was just an action, it might be good.
Yeah, for 5 points, an action disable doesn't make sense.
No.
If it was like 2 points action disable or something, it'd be a little bit easier to swallow. It'd still be tough effective-wise, but it would be a little more balanced. But for 5-point action, it really needs to be just an action.
Or put time tokens on it.
Sure.
But Captain Shran does this better.
That's right.
Granted, he only works within range 1, but he just does it better. Last card, Thruster Array. It's a 3-point tech. Action, discard this card to immediately perform a 1 or 2 reverse. Treat this maneuver as a red maneuver.
Yeah, this guy here, I would have loved it to be just simply a card where you can discard it prior to moving, discard it instead of moving. So you disregard your chosen dial and you do this instead.
Yeah.
Because if you're already going forward, bank, whatever, yes, you could pull off the odd interesting maneuver, but for the most part, it's counterproductive in its exact form.
Right, because you can't back up, because that's red.
Right.
You can't come about, back up, because red.
Unless you're on a shuttle
Yeah.
with white come abouts.
I guess you can do a hard turn back up, and that's kind of cool.
Yeah, I contemplated that one, and it's kind of interesting. It's like trying to pull a bit of a knight move on chess, but backing up from there.
Yeah, I think I'm with you. I think I'd rather have this be a discard this card instead of performing
the disregard.
The disregard. Yeah. That would have
disregard
been
your
better.
dial. Yeah.
And
like making it an action and a red maneuver and a discard after you've already done a move just makes no sense, both logistically and practically. But I will give them credit. It's a cool idea, and I would love to have a card that does this right. I would love it. But unfortunately, it just doesn't. And that's why.
Yeah, this is one that's on the right path. I'd love to see more like action do extra move. Because extra movement is such a cool facet of this game.
Right.
I don't think it's quite where it was a year ago with the 608 and the Indy Fed Fleet Captain.
Right.
But there's still a lot out there with extra movement. Admiral Forrest is still a great card. And
oh, absolutely.
And there's a lot to mess around with here. But yeah, this card is okay. 1 point for this would have been better. If you want to keep its current form, I might take this as a 1 point filler card.
Yeah, it probably wouldn't be used much, but it's just an ace up your sleeve. In this case, maybe a jack up your sleeve.
Sure.
But yeah, for 1 point.
As a 1 point card, when your other options are like secondary impulse, reactor, escape pod, stuff like that. Yeah, thruster array, sure.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the Montgolfier. I'm not hyper impressed.
Yeah, there's a few cards that you could definitely use and make some good things happen, but you're going to spend far more on these cards doing that when you could do it much cheaper with other means.
Yep, for me, this pack is a 3.5, 4.
That out of 10?
Yeah, out of 10.
Even that still feels a little generous, to be honest. Like, I've had time to absorb this over time, and my first reaction to the paint job on this puppy is I love it because of the stark contrast to the Jaeger, which I've said before looked like black Sharpie done on by a kid with lipstick as well. It was so badly painted. This one, WizKids, I appreciate the effort you put in to painting this better than the last one.
Yeah, that being said,
nothing's ever perfect, but hey,
there are some issues with the paint. Some of the nacelle paint ran over, and I get that. Some of the seams on this model are still very evident on the nacelles
the
and
sculpt
on the body. Yeah, the sculpt needs to be reworked.
Yeah, it's kind of like when WizKids redid the Defiant when the ISS Defiant came out. Beautiful rework. They slipped on 1 or 2 points that were better than the original, but with how many points that were a drastic, significant improvement, hands down. Like, I've traded old Defiant models for new ones because of how much better the new ones were.
Sure. And this one with the silvery paint, those flaws aren't as evident, and I'm nitpicking, and I understand that I'm nitpicking, and people can go, hey, David,
The pack sets a mood, so it's hard not to.
Yeah.
That's why I had to inject the positive there, because I do feel that way, but I also agree with you to certain points as well.
It looks significantly better than the Jaeger. The Jaeger, however you want to pronounce it. It looks far better than that, and it doesn't make me cringe. It makes me go, hey, that's at least a nice looking ship that I can put on the table and have people go, oh, okay, I see what they're going for.
I know we need to move on to the next ship, but what I want to say one last thing on this topic. The Jaeger original paint job was so bad. It was the first attack wing ship that I painted, and I want to say thank you for it being so bad, because it started me down a path where I've been painting ships like crazy, and I've been loving it, and my painting skills have gotten so much better since then. So it was a great place to start, and I'm grateful for that. Whoops.
Yeah. Oh, I do have to say, I was reading through the mission that came with this pack, Destroy the Weapon Platform. It's a spoof on a Dominion War thing. It's a 150 Fed Romulan Klingon alliance versus 120 points of Dominion plus a weapon platform. Looks like a really interesting mission, and I hope Griffin reviews it at some point.
There you go. If you got money to burn, buy the USS Montgolfier for the mission. Next!
Alright, it's the IKS Amar.
Amar, depending on your nationality, your speech impediments, or just your disposition.
Just don't call it late for dinner.
Gah! I'd be really late for that dinner.
Alright, so it's a 4-1, 4-3, 2 crew, 2 weapons, 24 points with evade, target lock, cloak, and sensor echo. Pretty standard.
And just to clarify, it is a Katinga class.
Yes, Katinga class ship. The generic loses a crew slot, not a weapon slot, and I go, why, oh why, it's not like the Klingons need 2 weapon slots.
True.
Okay, rant over on there. Named ability for the Amar. When attacking, if you do not hit the defending ship, place an evade token beside your ship.
I like it.
It's a reasonable ability.
Yep.
So, either take an evade token to be defensive, or do something else and evade later.
Well, here's the thing. It's place an evade token beside your ship. So let's say you performed an evade action. You did your attack. You missed. You can place an evade token. You've got 2 evades.
Yeah.
So you're definitely going to want a high captain skill on this one.
Yeah.
Not the low captain skill that you're getting with the
No.
Spoiler alert, 3 captain skill.
Yeah, so I think we're both in agreement. It's a okay ship ability.
Mm-hmm.
I probably like the Bemoth better, the ability to
hands down
to do red maneuvers, but I think I like this better than Kronos 1. I don't even remember what Kronos 1 does.
If you're doing an air appear scenario, I would love to have these together, like the Bemoth and the Amar. I would have fun with that.
Yeah.
But overall, I'd probably rather take cavorts, like, the Karaga and the Pach.
Yeah,
just better dice quality, among other things.
Sure.
But standing alone as just the ship right in front of you, this is a good ship. It is not a bad ship at all. It's not great. It's good.
Yeah. All right. Our captain.
Barak. Who knows?
Any of those 3.
2 squadron points, 3 captain skill, no talent, hack. When attacking with photon torpedoes, you may discard the photon torpedoes upgrade to gain 1 attack die for that attack.
Meh?
I want to say next. I don't even really want to talk about this too much because we all know the value of cost for +1 attack die is virtually nothing. The value of that is nothing.
I mean,
yeah.
Maybe you put this on a Vorcha and you use Vorcha torpedoes to get 7 dice. 5 attack normally, +1 if fired from a Vorcha, +1 if you discard with Barak.
Assuming you're using photon torpedoes at all, the best time and likely only time you're going to use this is as a finishing blow, and you want to make sure you take them down.
Yeah, but even then, I still think I'd rather have 5 dice with quality.
So my point on this one is, until WizKids finds a way to make photon torpedoes relevant...
Exploding die torpedoes.
Yeah, then nah.
Oh, sorry. that one just keeps getting stuck in my throat. And for people that don't know what it is, let me explain briefly. If you roll a natural crit, pick up another die, roll it. Add that result.
Yes.
It makes it fun. All right. Crew, generic, Klingon helmsman, 3 points. Action, discard this card to immediately perform an additional 1 or 2 come about. Treat this maneuver as a red maneuver. Costs 5 extra points for any non-Klingon ship and cannot be deployed to a ship that doesn't have a come about maneuver on its maneuver dial. Thank you, WizKids, for messing with Space Dock programmers. I'm sure they love this card.
Oh god, no kidding.
Well, let's see. It can go on this. It can't go on this. It's extra points here.
Poor Thomas. Poor Robert.
Yep. But, that aside.
It's worded a little funny, but I get what they intend. They mean an additional maneuver that is a 1 or 2 come about.
Yeah, and I read it a little
They're not saying
weird.
an additional come about.
Yeah.
Because the way you read it, you'd think they mean to do another come about maneuver. And you wouldn't be allowed to do it because if you've already done a come about, which is almost always red, you can't do another red without suffering a penalty. And I don't think you're going to have the secondary impulse reactor in most cases with this guy.
No, and why would you? No, and I mean, it's basically the understanding of additional always means just bonus thing, and then they're telling you a specific type of that thing that you're doing.
The only reason why I elaborated a little bit is because people can trip over this, whether they're new players or just, word Nazis, grammar Nazis, whatever you want to call them. So get that out of the way. We're pretty confident that's what their intention was. An additional maneuver that is a 1 or 2 come about.
Yeah. I would have liked it if it wasn't red. If it was just white, don't give me an Ox Power token. Because I'm already discarding this card.
Yeah.
It feels like you're hitting me with your right and your left.
Well, it's an action, it's a discard, and it's an Ox.
Yeah.
too many of the new cards that have some interesting abilities seem like they're 3 strikes and you're out. We're hit 3 times for a penalty. It's like, okay, we get that you're giving us something valuable, but do you really need to kick us while we're already down?
And the answer there is a very resounding no. If
Yeah.
this card is either get rid of the Ox or get rid of the action, I'm still going to assert that it needs to be a discard, or it needs to be a whole bunch of time tokens, aka more than 3. Then it works. But to have it action, discard, Ox power, it doesn't work.
I'd be okay with this being like a 2-time token. So you just can't do it every turn, you do it every other turn.
And still keep the action and the Ox?
Well, I don't. The Ox is up for debate, but the action discard versus action disable, that kind of concept, you know.
Yeah, I definitely think that they need more time token stuff, and this would make a great time token thing. So
yeah, it's a good card in concept. It just needs a little rework to make it right.
Yep.
Moving on, Klingon Navigator, 2-cost crew, non-unique. During the activation phase, before you move, you may discard this card to disregard your chosen maneuver, sound familiar, and perform any maneuver on your maneuver dial with a speed of 3 or less. Treat this maneuver as a red maneuver. This one's actually not bad. Oh, before I forget, no ship may be equipped with more than 1 Klingon Navigator upgrade. This one's a pretty decent one. I can understand taking an Ox power token to get the chance to just throw out your old maneuver for something else, and it's only 2 cost, discard. Yes, it's got a double cost, a discard and an Ox token, but for 2 points, and it's a reactive sort of thing, I like it, and this card on a high captain skill would be very valuable.
Yeah, I still don't love it because it's limiting your moves, although not by much, because most ships, the only move they have that this wouldn't work on is a 4 straight. So I'm not too worried. And treating it as a red, yeah, you're getting that Ox. I can live. The thing that annoys me is I want to use this ability to get myself in a position to shoot at you rather than run away.
Now, think of it this way. In most Klingon ships, the Katinga in particular, your hard turn, your 3 turn, and your 3 come about, which are valid options of this card, are already red. So, if anything, allowing you to take those options, even if it's just to save you a bump, sure, you'd lose your action anyway or gain the Ox, but it might give you a better positioning. You know, like, I would rather take these penalties and be in a position I want to be than go, oh, they went there, and have to deal with that.
Oh, sure. There's certainly a lot of times where you are better off taking an Ox for a better move. And I think having the ability to use this more than once would be great, but...
Yeah, but this is kind of a Hail Mary sort of thing anyway. Now, if it was a 1 point, it would be even better. Like, it would probably be prime. But at 2 points, I still think it's valid. The main caveat I think that might not be what you're at, might be what you're at, is that crew slots are at a premium for Klingons, and there are a lot of other better options. If you do find yourself with a spare slot and 2 points, I would take him.
And my thinking still is, more often than not, I'm not going to spend the points to adjust my moves. I want to spend the points to adjust your moves.
Fair enough. We definitely differ on that one.
I understand.
I love reactive re-options when it comes to maneuvers.
I do too.
Especially things like transwarp drive.
Sure. I love this card when it was called the Aldara. And that works every single time, and I don't take an Ox power.
Oh, I'm sure.
So that's why I have a problem with Klingon Navigator.
Alright, moving along. Klingon Tactical Officer. 3 SP. Non-unique. When attacking with your primary weapon during the Modify Attack Dice step, you may disable this card to spend your evade token to convert one of your battle station results into a hit result.
Meh.
It's very Klingon from the point of view of if you're going to take an evade in the first place anyway, which isn't Klingon, but it's definitely Klingon to sacrifice something to do more damage. So in that sense, it's kind of thematic. But honestly, how often do Klingons take evade tokens? Usually they're doing target locks or Drex Nagarin or Gaurons or something else.
Okay, this card is actively worse than Kunivas.
Just do an extra damage.
Right. He adds a hit result. He's 2 points. So he's cheaper. Yes, he discards himself, but he doesn't require any action. He doesn't take away anything, and he just adds a hit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's not like it has to be like a hull damage or anything specific. It's just trigger to modify attack dice step of combat phase, discard them to add an additional hit result. Done. 2-point discard value.
That's going to push a crit into the hole rather than their shields, and that's more valuable. All this is doing, you have to take an evade before this guy even becomes playable.
Yeah.
Then you have to roll a battle station result. At that point, you were still probably better off target locking, because then you can re-roll any of your dice, and you'll probably net more than one extra hit from a target lock re-roll than you would from just spending that evade token to convert, and you wouldn't have spent 3 points on a crew member.
Yeah, and then there's always Drex or Nagarin for 4 points in an action where one battle station becomes a crit and all the rest become hits. Why waste a battle station result?
How about I take Alexander as a crew, who's 3 points, and then I just take an evade action to evade and take less damage. That seems like a better life choice for my ship.
Agreed. Fluff-wise, interesting card. 50-50. When it comes down to the crunch of it all, gameplay, it's just not worth it.
No. 1 point card, maybe, but no, not as a crew.
Yeah. Take us home, David.
Well, there's photon torpedoes, so we're moving on. There's standby torpedoes. 3-point weapon upgrade. You may disable this card instead of spending your target lock when attacking with photon torpedoes. No ship may have more than one of these. It's cool, but it's the wrong faction.
Yeah.
The only Klingon ship that ever wants photon torpedoes is maybe the Samra. And that doesn't have 2 weapon slots.
Not even a Chang's Bird of Prey?
I guess Chang's Bird of Prey?
Who plays it?
Well, I guess people play it, but then...
It's a cool ability, it just doesn't fit. Doesn't feel quite right.
It doesn't fit as a weapon.
Yeah, this should be a tech, or maybe a question mark that fills a weapon slot, right?
Yeah. Maybe even a crew, because it could be a Klingon gunner.
Yeah, someone handling reloads or something, or helping the target.
The factions that want this are Fed and Romulan, not for photon torpedoes, but for plasma torpedoes.
Yeah.
And, well, not so much for plasma, but there are other things.
3 rerolls a blank.
Dominion wants it.
Okay, why don't we just cut to the truth of it all? Again, until photon torpedoes and quantum torpedoes become truly relevant again, any secondary card that supports them is going to be a waste of paper, print, and time. So here's hoping they do become relevant down the road, because then people are going to be looking back on packs like this.
I know we're doing a show somewhere down the road where we fix photon torpedoes, so...
Yes, we will.
There's that. Hey, the model. It actually works. There's a tube for photon torpedoes. The bridge is on right. The nacelles are on right.
Whoop whoop.
It's got a gray silver finish. The only thing that I say that's a little bit wrong is that there's some yellowy bits in the paint job, and I go, why? Why are they there? Outside of that, it looks good. The Klingon symbol is correct on the underside, and
just a reminder, the Katinga class has a forward and rear 90-degree arc. So, important.
Yeah.
Next up, we have the IRW Jazkal, also from the Star Trek Tactics HeroClix realm. It's an Enterprise-era Romulan bird of prey. You might have seen this before as the Praetus. This one here, 14 points, 2230. It has scan, target lock, and evade, a tech, a weapon, and a crew slot. While there is a scan token beside your ship, you cannot be targeted by any talent upgrades, and you roll +1 defense die against all attacks made with secondary weapon upgrades.
I like it.
Scans are getting pretty strong for the smaller Romulan ships.
Yeah, but this is a Romulan bird of prey, so it doesn't get to take advantage of the cool things on like the Pi and the
Talvath. Yeah, it's not a scout.
It's not a scout. It's not a science vessel. So I get it. If it was, I wish they had designed a lot of those cards with like hull 2 or less, hull 3 or less.
Or even an attack 2 or less. Something that is relatable, that applies.
Oh yeah, attack 2 or less. Then it doesn't work on the prototype. That would have been good.
Yeah. And like, you really need scan tokens if you even consider doing any attacking with these weaker ships.
Right.
Because you've got to reduce the defense before you've even got a chance.
Right.
So there is that aspect. Sometimes for ships like this, I have to think them in an Era Pure realm or meta, because they don't always make sense otherwise.
Right, but even this, straight up against like the NX, is going to have a tough time hitting it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, even if it rolls straight through, one-on-one, it can't get through enhanced hull plating.
No. Unless you're double teaming with other ships and you're just forcing them to take a bunch of ops. If that's your goal. But thing is, you don't know if you're facing the NX. Even in Era Pure.
Right, I guess against like the Samra, you have a chance.
Is Indian Sectoid?
Yeah, but then you face the aquatic, and it's like, well, good luck.
Yeah, true enough.
That's become the new gold standard of Enterprise era. The generic loses the crew slot, of all things. Yeah, I say we kind of call that a pass.
This is almost a time where I would happily have given up the tech slot to keep the crew slot, because it's not an innate cloaker, for one, so the tech is less valuable.
Yeah, and the generic loses the scan action.
Oh, you're kidding.
Nope.
Right.
Nope. It is down to just evade and target lock.
Yeah.
And it still costs you 14 points.
No one in the right mind will ever take the generic version of this ship.
Nope, never. Never. Oh, so the difference here, so the Praetus didn't have the scan action.
No. It's unique to the Jazkal.
Yeah, and it had 2 tech instead of a crew. It still had a weapon slot. So that's at least something a little different. Of course, the Praetus had that built-in cloak. We do get that cloaking ability on an upgrade card, as we'll see,
but you end up having to pay extra for it.
Yeah.
We'll get in. Maybe we should go into that one next. Just to keep things connected.
Yeah, let's take a look at that. That is
prototype cloaking device. 4-point tech. Action. Disable this card to perform the cloak action as a free action, even if you have no active shields. Roll 1 attack die. On a battle station result, your hull sustains 1 damage. While your ship is cloaked, you may perform the sensor echo action. This upgrade costs +5 for any non-Romulan ship, and no ship may be equipped with more than 1 prototype cloaking device upgrade. Right off the bat, something that pretty much everybody noticed, when a card is disabled, its text is as if it is no longer there. This says, while your ship is cloaked, you may perform the sensor echo action. Previous cloaking devices say, even while disabled, you may do the sensor echo action while cloaked. Now, we're going to have to assume that this is going to be errata to include that. Otherwise, right off the bat, that is garbage. That part right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, the fact that this card is 4 points, where it was free built into the Praetus, that's going to be cringeworthy. This, I believe, should have been treated the same as the enhanced hull plating with the NX-01. This should have been like a built-in ability to include this. Like on the card, it'll say "May put on a bird of prey," the Romulan bird of prey card, for free, +4 on any other Romulan ships, +9 for any non-Romulan ship.
That would have been an interesting means of doing it.
Yeah, a lot more words that there really isn't a lot of space for, but at least it would have made more sense.
Yeah. I will say, because I've heard too many people talking about putting this on the Prototype 01.
Mm-hmm.
Don't do it. For the love of Star Trek, don't do it. Yes, I know in Enterprise that thing could cloak. This is not the way to do it. Because here's the thing. If you cloak the prototype, okay, you have a cloaked prototype. It rolls 7 dice. Great. What do you do now? You still want to shoot with it. So
Advanced cloak. More points.
I mean, okay. But the best part of the prototype is that it has 6 durability that keep coming back. The moment you cloak, you're taking away half of that.
Yeah, so you pretty much have to guarantee you're going to evade all the damage or you're toast.
No, I mean, you could put prototype and then go interface
Mm-hmm.
if you really want, and then
with like, you'd need to get tech slots because
it has 3.
Yeah, true enough.
But
you'd probably want to do like an interface advanced cloak and the prototype cloaking device in order to maintain effectiveness on staying cloaked as well. Otherwise, you're spending actions.
But now you're spending so many points on the ship not dying, but guess what?
Mm-hmm.
That's what it already did before you cloaked it.
Yep.
So, congratulations, you spent points to let it roll 4 more defense dice, which are inherently risky.
You didn't really gain anything.
You didn't gain anything.
Yeah. It was a necessary exercise that we had to go through for you folks.
Like, I'm not saying don't try it out for fun. Play it in a mission or something. Try it out. But please don't take it to an OP and expect to win with it, because I'm going to roll 2 meg charges at you and you're going to be dead.
Pretty much.
And I'm not going to be sorry about it at all because I've warned you.
Exactly.
And if it's not me, it's going to be somebody else. It's just what it is. And I'm not trying to be hyper competitive when I say that. I'm trying to elevate and say that this card is not everything that everyone wants it to be. Can it be fun? Oh yeah. I think the ability to cloak things is awesome, especially when you don't have active shields. Like, that's cool. But it's a risk.
It just costs too much.
It costs too much, and it's a risk.
Moving on.
Yep.
What's our captain look like, David?
Our captain is Vrax. So now we can put Vrax on the Vrax and Valdor on the Valdor and all that good stuff. So, you may deploy the Riemann Bodyguards upgrade to your ship at a cost of -2 SP. No, that's not actually -2. That's 2 less than the printed cost.
Yes. Whenever you have something like cost of like at -2 SP, that's forcing a mathematical equation to go on. So you can't just say, oh, you start with the deficit. You actually have to apply that to whatever is pre-existing.
Yeah. And that's even if it exceeds your ship's restrictions. So you can do some fun finagling of order of applying crew slots. And now, oh, I don't have a crew slot. Oh, wait, I can use Vrax to bring my Riemann Bodyguards.
Right.
Which is kind of fun.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about Riemann Bodyguards, because I can't fully talk about Vrax without talking about Riemann Bodyguards.
Well, before we move on, why don't just say that, Vrax is unique. He's 3 captain skill. Has an elite talent slot for 2 points.
Sure. those things don't excite me.
No.
Although
Just had to get it out there.
Although 3 skill with a talent slot is nice, I will say.
And 2 points.
And
So,
2 points, yeah. If you need a very cheap talent carrier, sure. Although I recommend Q or Decker, both cheaper talent.
There you go.
With better effects.
And with Admiral Q, if you're lucky enough to have them, you can usually circumvent a lot of like the ship peer faction purities because it's Q.
Yep.
Unless, of course, your faction is against that one as well. Unless your venue is also against that.
In which case, please contact me, because I have some choice words.
Q should be allowed to go anywhere they damn well want.
Yes, the entire Q faction should be playable everywhere.
Pretty much as stated by WizKids. No faction penalty.
Yep. Alright, Riemann Bodyguards. 5-point crew, non-unique. You only get one of them in the pack.
That's a bummer.
That is a bummer, but you'll see nobody's really crying too much about that.
Yeah. 5 cost is already
a little much. It would be nice if like the first one was 5 and then the next one was 4 and the next one was 3 and you wanted 5 of these in your fleet and then after that they were free.
Yeah.
Anyways, action. Discard this card to target a ship at range 1. When attacking that ship with your primary weapon this round, gain +1 attack die and force the defending ship to roll -1 defense die. No ship can have more than 1. Okay, so it's not quite as bad as action roll 1 extra attack die. At least it's also they roll 1 less defense die.
Right. So you're shooting with your primary weapon based on the rules of this card. So you're already getting +1. So +1 for range, +1 for this card. That's +2 attack dice, and a -1 defense on top of that.
Yeah.
So, and let's say you're doing a scan because that's kind of the theme that they've been going with the last 3 Romulan releases. That's +2 attack dice, -2 defense.
Yeah.
That's like getting +4 dice.
Although, how do you get that extra action?
Well, free scans. There's ways.
Sure.
Let's say you're crazy and you want to put it on one of the science or scout vessels.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, now you've got 2 extra attack die, 1 or 2 less defense die on them. Okay. You've still got no quality.
Another ship puts a battle station on you with Mendak.
Okay. I buy that. I like that.
They are Riemann bodyguards. They could be on the scimitar.
Okay, sure. So let's maximize this. Let's say you put this on the scimitar.
8 dice at range 1 is pretty nice.
It is. 8 dice at range 1 with a battle station. Let's say you even took like Mr. Spock as your captain, so you got a free target lock out of this too. So now you've got as good of attack quality as you can possibly have. Or
say starter Picard with Mr. Spock as crew. So you get like a scan and Mr. Spock conversion.
Okay, but that's not going to help you with Mendak.
Well, what if you take starter Picard, do a free scan, and take Dimitri Valtain?
Okay, that could work too. I guess you don't have to have the target lock. Yeah.
Well, that way you can get around cloakers being your enemy.
Sure.
So you can re-roll those blanks anyway.
Okay.
At least 2 of them.
So, 8 dice, 2 less defense dice, battle station, 2 re-rolls of blanks. Maybe you get a kill. Not against another scimitar, mind you. But
especially with the interface generators.
Right. I mean, against an interface generator, you're done.
Yeah. You don't want to beef your attacks when they've got those ready and able.
Yeah. This card is nice, but action, discard, range 1 only. No.
Yeah, it's the 3 strikes again.
Yeah.
You know, you got to spend an action, you got to discard it, and you have a limitation on when you can use it.
Actually, you know what the one ship I want to use this on is?
What's that?
The Reliant.
Oh, yeah.
Because I already get a bonus die for range 1 on top of the range bonus. Now I get another one. I still don't love it, mind you.
But it's just silly fun shenanigans.
Exactly, it's silly fun shenanigans. And at least there I have a 180 arc. So somebody's going to be at range of me. But here's my problem. In comboing with Vrax, he's too low of captain skill for the Riemann bodyguard action to matter when he activates.
Mm-hmm.
So when he goes, you target a ship at range 1, that ship's going to move. You're not going to be able to shoot at them.
Yep.
It's unfortunate.
Yeah, that is a point that is not obvious, and I'm very glad you brought up. Yeah, you have to be able to react to them, because, like you said, when you perform the action, they may be there, but they are not going to be there by the time you actually do anything about it. This should be a non-action discard at the beginning of combat phase, or during your declare target step.
Exactly.
That's what this should have been.
Yeah.
During the declared target step, discard this card to da-da-da-da-da-da.
Yep, they do that.
That makes it valid.
It's still valid, and Vrax actually wants to take it.
Yes.
Although he could have discounted it by 3 points, and it would still be worthwhile. I don't think it would break anything.
Right.
Make it a 2-point card instead of a 3-point card.
Mm-hmm. If it was a multiples, that'd be in a dangerous situation, but as a single card, 1 per ship, discard, -3 would definitely be a nice perk.
Yeah.
2's acceptable, 3 is ideal, I think. But that's based on the rewording.
Yeah. It's kind of a shame that Quark can't smuggle crew.
Oh, yeah. True.
Because you use one Riemann bodyguard and then Quark could smuggle in another set. But it doesn't work that way.
What about cryostasis?
Oh, yeah. That would be the one card you get, but yeah. That would work. You'd have to deploy it on a Romulan ship, but
you'd have to have some way to discount the crew if you're not taking Brax to do it right. But
that's all doable.
Sorry, no, I'm thinking the other one that's 4. Sorry, scratch that.
Yeah. Moving on. All right, our elite talent, destabilized relations, 5-point unique. They're really just stuck on 5-point unique talents.
I know, right?
I mean, I understand unique. I get that. They're stuck on 5 points. Although I think one talent was 4 points.
Shinzon.
Yeah. One of the talents in the Constellation talent was 4 points. That's what it was. Anyways, destabilized relations. When attacking a ship at range 3, if there is another opposing ship within range 1 to 2 of the target ship, the defending ship rolls -2 defense dice against your attack.
Almost makes the head swim a little bit, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I've heard arguments on both sides of this card, and I still don't know which side to be on.
I know exactly what side to be on with this one. When attacking a ship at range 3, the ship that you're shooting at must be between range 2 and 3, so at the edge of the range 2, inside of the range 3, so it's got to be in range 3. If there's another opposing ship, so the text is always in relation to you, opposing ship, so opposing to your side, so an enemy player, an opposing ship in the context of all these cards, within range 1 to 2 of the target ship. So that is within range 1 to 2 of the ship at range 3.
Yes.
So anywhere in range 1 to 2 of the ship at range 3, if they have a friendly for them, then the ship that you are attacking, which is in this case the defending ship, rolls 2 less defense dice against the attack.
So that makes sense to me. It's if they're within one of their friendly ships, then they have problems.
Yeah, they have to be within range 1 to 2 of one other of their friendly ships.
Right.
So it makes sense to me when I read it, but it really should have been reworded to be clearer.
Yep. Because you could interpret this as if they're within range 1 to 2 of one of your ships.
Opposing it. Based on the context of all the cards in this game, I would say absolutely not. But from a strictly reading the card point of view, I can understand why someone would perceive it that way.
Yeah, right. I get that, and
Yeah,
it's one that on a weird day, I'd probably argue that side of it, but on good days,
Yeah.
on clear thought days, I definitely argue Nick's perspective and going, okay, yeah.
Bottom line on this, before we even review the card itself, proper grammar, proper terminology, and clear, concise wording is an absolute must. Some people might hate me for bringing this up repeatedly, but Magic the Gathering has been doing their collectible card game for decades. There's still the odd flaw here and there, but for the most part, they've got it pretty nailed down. You don't see long, verbose statements, declarations of how to do an action on every card. A lot of cards are very simplistic. It's only when they add multiple layers to it of other abilities or secondary things that they start to get a little more complicated.
Yep.
So take a hint from someone who really knows what they're doing because they've been doing it for so very long. Research the competition. I know they're not directly the same type of thing because it's straight cards versus tabletop miniatures, but functionally they are the same. Why not save the work of having to research it and do it all yourself when you can legitimately borrow it from those more experienced?
I'm with you. So this card specifically, I don't like it because it's range 3.
I also don't like it because it's highly conditional on having another ship within range 1 to 2.
Yeah.
Yes, it's something that can commonly happen in jousts and all that, but it basically means you have to do it early in the game or it's not going to get used at all.
Right. And even then, what if they're running a Borg fleet where they roll no defense dice anyways?
Exactly. There's many things. Not that that's going to be common, but it's something you got to consider.
And
5-point talent when there's a lot of other talents that would benefit you far more, that's a lot to hedge your bets on.
And functionally, all this is doing is making them lose 1 defense die because they're gaining 1 for range 3.
Mm-hmm.
5 points and a discard for 1 less defense die. I'm going to take a scan action. And when I do that scan action, yeah, I know I'm only canceling 1 defense die, not 2, but defense dice are just not that reliable, so I'm not that worried. And then I can shoot at whoever I want and take whatever talent I want, not this.
Yeah.
So, would it maybe work in an era game? Maybe. Should this card be like a 2-point talent? Yeah.
Next up, we have Nigel. Now let's go with Nigel. It sounds pretty much like a typical human name. Easier to pronounce that way. Nigel, he is a unique crew member for 5 cost. Add 1 tech upgrade to your upgrade bar. That upgrade costs -1 SP, minimum 1, and must be a Romulan tech upgrade. I like it for that part. Action. When defending this round during the roll defense dice step, disable this card and one of your tech upgrades to roll +1 defense die.
Bleh.
I hate it. This part.
Yeah.
And for 5 points, yeah. I would like him to be like a 1 or 2, maybe a 3 cost, a 1 or a 2 cost for adding the tech slot. The ability I have no interest in whatsoever, because adding 1 defense die for an action is horrible to begin with, but you also have to disable one of your tech upgrades to do so. I don't think it takes much discussion on this. I'll let you say your piece, but I don't think anybody's ever going to convince me that this card is worth taking.
So my thinking on this is that action, not the full text of the action, just the word action, was a late addition.
Right.
Because
I could see that.
When defending this round, during the roll defense die step, disable this card and one of your tech upgrades to roll +1 defense die. That's a legitimate effect. It's not amazing, but as part of a card that already did something.
I'm going to interrupt and be totally rude here. It's not even a good effect. When you have tech upgrades and abilities and things with Romulans that can out and out cancel a hit or a crit, or prevent a crit to hull, or add an evade token. The very least this should do, especially for that cost, with or without the action, should be adding an evade token.
Yes.
We've covered this many times. Many other people have covered this. Adding a single defense die for any cost other than a static ability is a waste of points.
What I'm saying is, his utility is in the first part of his text.
Absolutely. But do you want to pay 5 points for that?
I paid 4 points for Tyrul, who gave me a tech slot, and then I could roll 3 less dice to guarantee me 1 evade.
Yep. So basically, it works out to the exact same cost as Tyrul, but he's got a worse ability.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, Valdor, there's a captain version that gives you an extra tech slot. But neither of those discount, but they also don't force you into Romulan tech.
Right.
But it's only that specific tech slot that has to be filled by a Romulan upgrade.
Right.
I understand.
Not quite exactly, but pretty close. So essentially, it's the same cost, worse ability, and a restriction. So again, you've got the strikes, and it's if you absolutely need the tech and you've got the points to spend, sure, do it. But I can think of numerous other crew I'd rather put. I'd rather have Tyrul. I probably wouldn't be putting both of these on there, spending 8 points to get 2 tech slots.
Oh, no. I mean, as it is, I would never take this card because it's an action disabled to get 1 evade die.
Okay, I found a use. Cloak Mine spamming. You want to load up on Cloak Mine and perhaps have 1 or 2 interface generators as well. You can certainly do something like this.
I will still take Eric Motts.
Oh, for sure. No, speaking from a purity point of view, this would be great in that case. You're paying through the nose, but it's still possible. But yeah, if you're playing mixed, Eric Motts is hands down a much better choice. 1 point, 1 tech slot, no restrictions, done. And you could sack him to Terrace for 360 fire.
If you're playing Purity and you're Cloak Mining spam, you're a jerk. and I say that
But
with
part
a
of me
smile
loves
on
you.
my face. But if you're Cloak Mining spamming in Fleet Pure or something, you're just a jerk because there's no good defenses against it. And this guy's not the way to go about doing that. It's just, you don't need more than like 3, and the prototype does it anyways.
Well, Era Pure, you're a jerk. Faction Pure Federation does okay.
Alright, our last card, Disruptor Banks. It's a secondary weapon, non-unique, 4 points, 3 attack dice, range 1 to 3. Attack, place 3 time tokens on this card to perform this attack from your forward firing arc, or when defending during the roll attack dice step, you may discard this card to force your opponent to roll -2 attack dice. No ship can have more than 1 Disruptor Banks upgrade.
That's the part that hurts. I love the range 1 to 3. The 4 cost isn't too bad. It's non-unique, so hey, cool. Could use more than 1. Limiting it 1 per ship, I think, was put in there specifically for the second ability.
Yeah. Because they don't want you to chuck, and now you don't even have an attack.
Yeah, and a 3 point or a 3 attack card with 3 time tokens to me is overkill. That's one that would be okay with a 2 time token. It really would.
Yeah, but they have the Romulan Bridge Officer that reduces all weapons by 1.
I wouldn't mind that, given that it's a 3 attack. If it was any more, even a 4 attack, then I get it. 3 time tokens. But for 3 attack, no. I think it needs that little bit extra, especially 4 points for a 3 attack.
Yeah, see, I'm not even worried about this card in terms of the attack. I'm looking at this solely for defensive purposes.
Oh, it's a great use of a weapon slot you're not using otherwise.
And yeah, I mean, it's a little pricey for what it is, but here's the thing. The biggest card that Romulans fear right now is Magnetometric Guided Charge.
Mm-hmm.
That thing rolls 3 dice. If you can cancel 2 of those dice by them not even rolling it, now they're rolling 1, and you're not really afraid of them.
Yeah, I have seen some people here and there beefing it up, adding dice to it, but taking 2 attack dice away from that weapon, no matter what level it's at, is going to make a big difference.
Sure. I mean, if they're beefing it up, all the more reason to make them roll 2 fewer dice.
Exactly. So, while I started off with a little on the negative side, I do love the secondary ability, and I would certainly use it. Honestly, I'd be much happier if it was like 3 points. I don't think it would be fair to put it at 2. I think 3 or 4 is the only way that would make sense. Given the limitation, I could see it being at 3, but I'm okay with it being at 4. I'm not going to fight that point.
Mm-hmm. Even more fun, Quark can't smuggle this.
I know.
Now, does it have the most useful text in the world if you're not fighting Borg with mag charges? No. But, again, discarding this to make somebody roll 2 less dice on anything is going to be a good thing.
It's a great one, too, if you're tossing either this or an interface generator, depending on what you see coming at you. Like, because they have to declare what they're firing at you first. So that can give you what you need, possibly, to decide which one you're going to use.
Yeah.
Because one you can react with, the other you have to use preemptively, because you have to do this before they actually roll the dice. Where interface generator, you wait to see what comes up. But it'd be handy to have both.
It would. It would be very handy to have both. And when you do that, it's a matter of going, hey, now I've got less stuff coming in, less stuff to hurt me, and I'm going to live longer, and now you're going to pay for it.
Live long and prosper? Oh, wait. I think the saying is, Joel, untrue.
I think we're maybe in agreement that this is the best card in the pack.
Yeah.
That doesn't fill me with a lot of enthusiasm.
Could we come close to saying that it's almost the best card in the wave? Or is it? It's up there, and especially given the competition.
I think it's as good as the heavy graviton beam, because again, situational against what you're facing.
I find the graviton beam is more situational.
Sure.
So it would be less useful. So the disruptor banks would be bumped up a little bit just because it would have a little bit more viability if you were to put it in your fleet.
Wait, okay, the Amar, the named ship ability, that may be more useful than either of those.
I'm talking about upgrades.
Oh, okay. The Klingon Navigator.
Yeah.
That's got some potential.
That's why I said almost.
Yeah. I think there's maybe one decent card in each ship here. But that's the problem. So I've kind of set up about 5 tiers of attack wing cards. Tier 1 is obviously like the amazing stuff in the game. Scimitars, prototypes, meg charges, cloaked mines. Stuff that you're really confident in. Like, you love to play it. And it does good work. Tier 2 is that solid stuff that you're able to make work most of the time. Scenarios may make it not great. Tier 3, you need a scenario to really help it. Tier 4, probably not going to work. Tier 5, it's just bad. A lot of this pack is Tier 4 and 5.
Agreed. It's not like these ships, because they have one okay to decent card. Yeah, well, I'll get them for that, or I might get a bunch of them for that. Usually, it's ships like Enterprise E, the Praetus, and Apnex and stuff, where there's one great card that you're going to buy a whole bunch for. Yeah. Cloaked Mines, Interface Generator, Dorsal Phase Array, and stuff like that. Because all the other cards in those other packs are either unique or not worthy. So you're not really going to be buying them for multiples of the other cards in the pack necessarily.
Right.
But when everything in these packs is mediocre at best, save for the odd card, you're going to be hard-pressed to want to buy these ships in this wave, even if you're a completionist. Because usually even those want something out of it, and the best they're getting is repaints.
I was really at a point where I was not going to get this wave if it wasn't for regionals.
Yeah, that was another reason why I was quite saddened to hear that we weren't going to get regionals here in Vancouver, is that I wasn't going to have a chance, like either by hosting or by playing, I wasn't going to have a chance to win this wave. Because that's probably the only reason why I would have them. Because, you know, I can afford to buy a wave a month and not really bat an eyelash. Don't always have money to throw around, but not everybody does, and even though I do, I would really have to think for a long time, do I really want to do this?
Yeah.
Like, I'd rather buy an Oglorazic. Just based on feeling, not on merit. Just right now, with how I feel about this wave as a whole, I would feel better buying an Oglorazic. And that's the only other ship I don't own.
Another reason to buy the Amar is that it has a solo mission.
Yes, I'm glad you brought that up again.
That sculpt is great, and you do get generic crew upgrades that may get better over time. And
yeah,
that's the redeeming ship. I think if there's a best ship in this wave, it's the Amar, and that is not close to me. But it's not like we're picking from a great set of ships. All of these are not very good. What's the best of not very good? Yeah,
Wave 23 is the crop that comes up after the Earth has been lightly salted.
Yeah.
That's one way to put it. And just to backstep a little bit, what you said about bringing back some of the reminders of some of the qualities of the Amar, this is why I really like you, David. This is one more reason why you're a friend of mine, is because even if my emotional state gets a little carried away with the negativity surrounding this wave, you find a way to sort of pull some of that back for me. Like, and usually I'm the optimist. I'm the one that finds the little grain of positivity in the negative soup. But when I don't do that, you're the one that I can count on to bring that back for me. So thank you.
Somebody's got to find something good to say about it, and believe me, it is easy to just pile on the negative stuff, but it's not right to do what's easy all of the time.
Yeah.
And, we made no bones about it. We don't like this wave.
No.
We're saying, honestly, don't go buy it. But
no, save your money.
But we know a lot of people ask, like, what's a good solo mission? Well, the Amar has a good solo mission in it. I mean, it's based around the motion picture, which I know is not an amazing Star Trek movie, but the aspect of how it translates into attack wing is pretty darn cool.
Yeah, let's not forget the mission that comes with the Montgolfier either. That one's actually pretty interesting as well.
Right.
The difference there being the Amar has a little bit more value to its pack outside of the mission alone.
Yes. So you have those things, and it's at least there. The Romulan has some interesting things that I think could get better over time, but they're not, and because we don't know what the future holds, all we can do is look at what is out right now, the 24 waves, because we count wave 0,
right,
that exist in this game right now, plus all of the prize ships, and we go...
And the big ships, oversized.
Yeah, nothing really works with what this pack has to offer.
And the best thing that I can say about this wave is there's some interesting concepts in some of these cards that I am pleased to see WizKids coming up or out with, regardless of wherever they may have got them, but they do need to get some rework. Not necessarily back to the drawing board on some of those interesting ones, but they do need reworking to make them right for this game. So, progress, but progress that should have been made in the design step, in the beta test, in the play test, the stages before we even hear about them, let alone having them announced.
Yeah.
Basically what I'm saying, add an extra cycle to the quality assurance of each wave. And I think the whole game will benefit from it. And listen to everyone. Listen to your people. Listen to the players. Listen to the community. Anybody that plays this game for fun and not because it's their job, you know they're in it solely because they want to enjoy this game. So they're more likely to give you a straight answer. Might be emotionally tipped. Probably will be emotionally tipped. But there are a number of players out there that will give you the straight shot without a lot of flack because they love the game. And I'm quite sure that there's some of the playtesters there that feel the same way and are more than capable of giving good responses. So just open communication, listen to what people are saying, and start loving the game again. I think that would make a huge difference.
Well said.
So at this point in time, if you're still listening to this podcast, I want to thank you all for getting to this point. I want to thank you all for getting here because I'm sure it wasn't easy for you because a number of players that have already seen previews for this or read other reviews have probably already felt the pressure, negativity.
Warp core
so
breach.
Thank you again for being our listeners,
9,
for giving us a chance
8,
to share our views
7,
with you. And
6,
I hope you'll be listening to
5,
us again next time.
4,
Thank you.
This is Nick.
3,
And this is David.
2,
Ejecting the
1.
core.
Warp core ejected.
Warp Core Breach is produced by Nick Norris and David Montgomery, with additional content from our contributors. Our computer is voiced by Corinne Donnelly.
Warp Core Breach is not endorsed, sponsored, or affiliated with CBS Studios Incorporated or the Star Trek franchise. All Star Trek trademarks and logos are owned by CBS Studios Incorporated.
All sound files are used under Creative Commons 3.0 by attribution. For specifics, please visit our Facebook page by searching Warp Core Breach Podcast. If you want to contribute to the show, let us know on the Facebook page, or you can email us at warpcorebreachpodcast@gmail.com.